Good afternoon and welcome back F11 members to the Fundamentals of Post-Production video tutorials for issue 36 January 2015 part 2. So in part 1 we looked at the black and white conversion of a doodle door image, a Jurassic Coast image, how we used channel mixing to bring out the drama in a black and white image, and I would now like to just, with the aid of a few example images, talk you through this business of channel mixing, just so hopefully you can grasp it a bit more fully. What we do when we channel mix is boost or pull back the brightness of individual colors in the image, but of course we're doing that in the context of a black and white image. Let's just look at this picture here of Glastonbury Tor. Lovely afternoon light, dramatic sky, but just for example, let's say I wanted to make a black and white image of it, and I go here to the black and white tab in Lightroom and open that up and click on black and white, and it automatically makes a black and white image of that picture. But of course what I can do now is make individual colors within that image darker or brighter. And if I just go back to the color image again, let's just look. There are two predominant colors in, really only two colors in this picture: the blue in the sky, various tones of it, and the yellowy orangey tones in the vegetation and the stonework. So let's just experiment with what we can do. First of all, if I take the blue slider here and pull it back, we can make it look virtually like, almost like an infrared image. Look at that all the way. The blue goes black and it looks pretty over the top, quite frankly, but that's all part of the flexibility we have. So I can pull back the blue a bit like that, and I could then go to, say, the orange and brighten that way. Again, that's too much, but you can see what we're doing here. A bit with the yellow as well. There's a combination of yellowy orangey tones there. And there, that's quite a nice tone for the stonework, isn't it? And you can see, if I go back to our starting point, compare what we've done now. So we've darkened the blue and we've brightened the orangey yellowy tones in the image. What is right or wrong is of course for you to decide, but this is all part of the skill of making black and white images from color digital ones. If just by example I try moving the slider of a color that has very little presence within the image, say for example green, go left or right on green, and there's hardly any effect going on there. But this image here really only has two tones. Okay, so that's a good sort of illustration of what color mixing is all about. Let's have a look at another example. So I've got this picture of the Cairngorms, and where is it actually? It's in the Cairngorms region. It's Loch Garten, Cairngorms National Park. Okay, and again, should I want to make a black and white image of this, we have some interesting, I suppose, three tones in this image, three dominant colors. We have blue in the sky, we have the greenery in the vegetation there, and we've got some warm orangey reddish brownish tones down here in the peaty water in my foreground. So let's experiment what we can do with channel mixing here. Again, if I click on the black and white tab, it just makes an auto conversion. So again, let's look at the sky first, and again, if I pull back the blue, I can make it look virtually black. That's probably too much, but it certainly gives impact. The other thing I could do is go to the green and boost the colors of the vegetation there. And also down here in the bottom I've got the reddy tones of the rock there. Not much happening with the red slider there, but again you can see how powerful this channel mixing can be. I'm not saying I like that picture, I'm not saying I would have converted it to black and white in the first place, but this is what channel mixing can do. Okay, let's look at another example now. So now I've got a very colourful image of some boats in the Mekong Delta, and if I was to contemplate changing this to a black and white image, I don't think I would, because it's all about the colour. But it's a really good example of what channel mixing is all about, so let's do it. If I click on the black and white there again, now what I want to do, go back to colour, let's consider we have some very strong reddy oranges, we've got a lot of blue in the sky, we've also got some green here as well. So I'm going to first of all again go to the blue and darken down the sky. That works quite well, doesn't it, because it makes those white masts stand out against the background really well. Now if I go to the orange, for example, slider here, I could absolutely boost the color of the levels of the orange, making the boat holes appear much brighter, or of course I could go the other way and make them look virtually black. These are extreme adjustments, but just useful to be able to show just what is possible with channel mixing and what it's all about. With landscapes, it's all about subtlety as always, but I think it's something that you should experiment with, and rather than just clicking on the default settings, the presets in things like software programs like Lightroom or Silver Effects, actually think about what you're doing and experiment with channel mixing in tandem with the tonal adjustments that we would do to an image as well. And lastly, let's just look at this landscape shot of Iguazu Falls in Argentina. And I did some black and white conversions of this particular location, some that I'm very pleased with. And this is much more typical of a landscape that we would think in terms of making a black and white of. So let's consider again what we're going to do. We go to the black and white tab there. Now there are two dominant tones in this image, green and blue. It's as simple as deciding whether you want the green and blue to be brighter or darker or stay the same. There's nothing saying that you have to do either darken or brighten them, but in this particular case again I'm going to darken off the blue in the sky. It makes the clouds stand out much more, and I'm going to go quite a way on that, and then I'm going to come to the green slider here and boost the greens, and already we've got the beginnings of quite an interesting black and white image there. If I then just marry that up with a touch of medium contrast, you can see it's made quite an interesting picture. Go back to where we started, and with those simple adjustments we did there in channel mixing, we've achieved that already. Not bad, eh? Okay, as always, it pays to think about what you're doing, but do experiment. Good luck and enjoy your black and white photography.